When I was a child growing up in Africa, my parents moved there for one reason, and the reason that they moved there was specifically for missions in Africa. While we were there, we worked with the Tonga and the Lozi people, and I spent 4 years of my life there. Not only have I helped serve with my parents on the mission field, but when I came back to the United States, I spent many times going over the seas to Peru, India, and back to Zambia to share the gospel. I also went across the United States to share the gospel as well. Over the years of my experience in mission work, and knowing people who are in mission work, I have learned and been informed about the different kinds of mission work. Through this, I hope to present to you and make you aware and informed of the different kinds of mission work that is out there. Not many people know about the different kinds of mission work that's out there. Many people think that someone who's a missionary lives in the jungle, speaks the clicking language, and rides an elephant. But not all of that is true. Most of the missionaries are tent makers, medical missionaries, or faith missionaries. The first missionary that I would like to share with you is the medical missionary. And of course, you may think that a medical missionary is someone who works in a clinic or a hospital, and that is very true. Up above is a picture of my aunt. One of the pictures, she's in Tanzania, and the other picture is when she was in the Philippines. While she was there, she spent her time doing midwifery work, helping ladies who are pregnant, and she helped them give birth. She used that as her tool for missions. On the next slide, Professor Herbert Kane of the School of Trinity and Evangelical Divinity wrote a book, Life and Work on the Mission Field, that was published in 1980. And in his book, he mentioned these two people. Dr. Scudder became the first American missionary to India to ever plant churches and hospitals. The next one you may be very familiar with, and that would be David Livingstone. David Livingstone went through all the southern countries of Africa and planted over 2,500 church-related missions. Professor Olson and Dr. Fanning, current professors here at Liberty University, came together and wrote a book, What is God Doing?, and was published in this previous year in 2011. In that book, they stated a statistic that Americans use over 10% of their income on medical bills. Most people across the world don't have this money. Medical missions is one way that has opened the door to spread the gospel. The next way that has opened the door to spread the gospel is through tent-making missions. Not many people are aware of tent-making missions and what a tent maker actually does. A tent maker will take his or her occupation currently as a salesman or a business person and move across seas and use that as their mission field. Ruth Simeons, a tent maker and also the founder of Global Opportunities, wrote in her journal about the vital role of tent making in Paul's mission strategy that was published in 1997. And she said, out of all of the world's unreached people, 10% of those are in restricted areas. A restricted area would be considered India or China perhaps, somewhere where you can't go and declare being a missionary. I personally know someone who is in a restricted country, but I cannot say their name or where they are due to security reasons. However, he is taking his sales position over there and he's selling and buying fish because they import and export fish there. Patrick Lay, a businessman in Southeast Asia, an author of the book Tent Making, published in 2005, wrote in his book that tent making not only provides a way for missions, but more relationships, more contacts, and more sociable. The last point that I want to share with you about missions is faith missions. In the book, What in the World is God Doing?, as I mentioned previously, talks about the different kinds of mission agencies. A mission agency would be one that supports you, that provides transportation, supervision, leadership, coordination, and many other things. An example of a mission agency would be the International Mission Board, Pioneers, or Epic International. A personal story here would be me living in Africa. When we were there, we were on the IMB mission board, and above is a picture of my family is when we were in Zambia and Africa. While we were there on the IMB mission board, they provided transportation, housing, and leadership for us to keep in contact with and get mentorship with. The next Also, another kind of faith missionary would be the independent missionary. An independent missionary is one who would go over without a missionary, without a mission agency. They would raise the support on their own by their church, family, or friends, and they would use that money and go over. However, they lack leadership and supervision. The missions that I have told you about are just some missions. There are many other missions, like educational missions and literature missions, that go over and translate their language into the Bible. However, these are vital, and we should be aware of these and be informed of the different kinds of missions out there today, so we can be aware how to pray for these missions.